Hello, friend. Happy Monday. Glad to be here with you. Hope you had a great weekend where you made time to rest, to restore, to recover because you deserve that time to rest so you can get up in a Monday morning and feel fresh. And I know a lot of people are not feeling fresh these days. So I want to talk about something that has been in my mind a lot lately. Well, it's always in my mind as a teacher, as a guide, but it's much more now because I am investing more time in meditation, more time in reflection, more time just asking a big question, which is what is causing people's suffering? What is causing them? What is the true cause of so much suffering? And the suffering comes in different forms, right? Suffering comes in the form of stress, comes in the form of disease in the body, comes in the form of depression, anxiety, comes in the form of fatigue, comes in the form of like relationship stress, right? So there are many forms that suffering can appear. And I call suffering when you just can't shake it, right? There's a difference between pain and suffering. Pain, it's part of life, it's part of growth. And suffering is optional because suffering is when you don't address the pain that is whispering in your life, is whispering in your body, is whispering in your mind. You don't take care of that. And then it becomes chronic stress, chronic emotional stress, chronic mental stress, right? Chronic physical stress. And that becomes suffering. So you're always operating in this level of like survival, this level that you know you can do better and you just don't have the life forcing you to do it, right? So I'm constantly asking myself, because my life's mission is to help people to go from survival to thriving, and even better, thrive and flourish, right? So you thrive when you are fulfilled and you are healthy, you have the life force to do the things that you love. And flourish is when you start taking all those qualities and helping others to flourish, right? You become this being of light and life force, and people wanted to be around you, and you have an opportunity to inspire others, right? So I don't accept survival. We do not, in this culture, this Western culture, there's no reason for us to be living in survival. And of course, I'm not talking about uh, a lot of people who can barely pay their bills, but even for them, it would be very helpful for them to tap into their divine, into their creativity, to even know how they can go from that state of not being able to pay their bills and get creative and be able to pay their bills, right? So we are facing a big crisis, and I'm not talking about the pandemic. I'm not talking about economic crisis. I'm talking about a bigger crisis that has been happening for many years, especially in this culture. And I know it's happening in Brazil too. It's not just here. It's happening in a lot of, a lot of places. But I'm more in touch with the Western, with the United States, because I've been here now for almost as long as I was in Brazil, right? So I noticed that here in America, there's a big crisis happening, which is a spiritual crisis. And I'm going to explain. Spiritual crisis does not have anything to do with religion. When I speak the word spirit here, has nothing to do with a dogmatic belief, a religion that you need to follow, even though you can find a lot of spiritual fulfillment in a religion. That's all I'm talking about. When I say spiritual crisis, what I'm referring today is that most people are not living their true self. They're not living the true self. What is the true self? I'm going to explain a very simple way, just like my t-shirt reveals here. True self, be the person you want to be, your authentic self. Do the things that you love. We're not going to even go to the have today. Eliminate the have. We're going to talk about the be and do. Become the person that you truly are, the person you are in your heart, that person that you are behind the mask, behind the persona, behind the facade, that person who you truly are, which your true self is always a person of love, kindness, passion, compassion. You have all these beautiful qualities because the qualities of the heart are the same in all of us. The qualities of the heart are the qualities of the divine, of the source, God, if you will, is always the quality of joy, bliss, ecstasy, love. This is not a fantasy. That's not unrealistic. In fact, that's the reality. And we got so lost along the way that we confuse what we see in the world as that's the reality. And then a lot of people, they hear me speaking things like, we're not designed to be sick. We are designed to be living in a state of joy, love, bliss. People will say, oh, that's not realistic. We got all confused. If you start studying the texts, the books, study the Course in Miracles, or study the mystics that really talk about the core of spirituality, you start learning that this state of struggle, survival, is not the reality. We just accept it as a reality. And a lot of people are talking about a big shift of consciousness right now. And that's what they're talking about. The shift of consciousness is for us to understand that what we see here every day in this crisis, it seems to be the reality, but we created the same way we created this reality that's happening right now. We have tremendous power to create a different reality, just like we have the power to change our life, to change our perception. So we need to start living from our hearts. We need to live our true self. And who are you? Who are you when you living in your truth? What is living your truth? Also, it's living from a place of pure love. It's being love and doing the things that you love. And I'm not saying, change your life dramatically, quit your job today, quit the relationship, and just do what you love. It has a process. That's where I come in and I help people, and other teachers, other amazing, counselors, therapists, they that are helping people with life strategies. They helping people with that because they help that most people need. If this is resonating with you and you feel like you're not living your true self, and you might say, well, why aren't people living their true self? It's a long conversation, but to summarize it all, fear, 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 fear. Fear that has been adopted, that is in your physiology, is in your nerve system, is in your mind since you are a kid. Because what happens when we are tiny kids, I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 years old, that we living our true self, because that's the only way we know how to be. We're living our true selves, and then we'll have a caretaker, a parent telling us that being that way, it's wrong. So if you're expressing an emotion like anger or sadness, or you're too excited and screaming around the house, you start getting shutting down. You start like, no, that behavior is not okay. And we start associating love with being somebody else. We need to become somebody else to feel that we loved by mom. We need to become somebody else to feel that we loved by dad. And then we get older, and then we feel like in order to fit in, we have to adopt a certain way, a certain belief of our peers, of our group, so we can fit in. So we have all this major survival needs as children, teenagers, which is need for love, need for validation, need to feel important, and need to belong, need to fit in, that we will compromise, we'll do anything to get all those qualities. The crisis happens that now we are adults, you are an adult that's watching this video, we don't need those coping mechanisms anymore. We don't need those strategies in order to survive anymore. So the problem is a lot of people running that program, the same program that they ran when they were 11, 12, 13, 15 years old, to get that validation. And a lot of people are still running that program. And why I can speak this language, why I know this so well, because I was also running the program for most of my life. And I didn't start changing the program until my 40s. I have been working on this for 10 years. And I have to say, the shifts I had in the last year or even like it was like the equivalent of 10 years, because work slowed down, economy changed, I closed the studio, um, my business shifted, and with the economy crisis because of the pandemic, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you that the volume of clients also decreased with that. So because of that, I was given the gift of a lot of time. And I had two options to do with that time, with the gift of time. I could stress, struggle, panic, or I could pause, breathe, and use the time as a gift to heal whatever felt to me that was in need for healing and transformation. So that's what I've been doing for like 9 months straight, basically. So that's just to show you, the only reason I'm sharing this with you is that you can change. It might take 10 years for you to change. It can take 6 months for you to transform, to shift, to change. It might take a week. It all depends how much you're willing to do the work. So the spiritual crisis is coming because a lot of people are not living the truth. And the consequences of not living your truth are many, from chronic stress to unhappiness, dissatisfaction with life, feelings of guilt and shame because you know inside you want to do something else, and then you beat yourself up because you're not doing, or you beat yourself up because you don't have the courage to do it. You beat yourself up because you think you just this scared person who is afraid to grow. And that can also lead to addictions. And I'm not even talking about drug addiction, alcohol addiction. That's not my expertise. I am talking about addictions to work, which I see a lot. People addicted to being busy. I was addicted to being busy. Addiction to productivity, because that's a way of not dealing with your true self, and you just get busy all the time. And that way you don't have to really live your truth, right? Addictions to social media. I have that too. Addictions to food, addictions to coffee, addictions to sex, addiction to attention, right? I had that. So there are many addictions. Addiction is basically any behavior that you keep repeating every day that is not bring you a positive outcome, and it feels like more powerful than you. It's like me sometimes, like scrolling on Facebook, even when I tell myself do not scroll on Facebook, and I'm like grabbing the mouse here and doing, I'm like, oh my God, that's an addiction. Okay, so we always struggle with that. So it's a consequence of not living your truth. And of course, the other one that I've been talking a lot about is disease. When we're not living our truth, we are maybe living somebody's truth. We become people pleasers. We become parents pleasers indirectly. We might be doing something that will make them proud, that will make our friends proud, that will make somebody validate us. So when we're not living our truth, we are living somebody else's expectations of us. And when we do that, it's a tremendous betrayal of this gift of life. You were given a body, tremendous, beautiful body. You are giving a heart, which is your portal, is your connection with the divine that created you, and you are the creation with the same gifts of the divine, the source. You are given a beautiful brain that has a tremendous capacity to learn, to process, to grow. You have the gift of your life force, which is the energy that takes to be who you want to be, to do the things that you love. So you have all these gifts. So when you're not living your true self, you basically denying these gifts. You betraying yourself, you betraying your heart, and you're living in this outside world by being the person that other people expect you to be. It's the biggest betrayal. I see a lot of diseases from there. I see a lot of autoimmune disease. I see cancer. The more I study the cancer, the more I hear that cancer, for example, it's a holistic disease, just like any disease is holistic. There's always an emotional, mental, spiritual, physical component. But a lot of spiritual teachers, a lot of medical intuitives will say that cancer comes because we suppress a lot of anger. If we don't live our truth, we will get angry Guess at whom? Ourselves. We have anger, guilt, shame, and those emotions, when packed and suppressed in the body, they become poison. So a lot of holistic doctors are talking, for example, cancer being a disease of anger. Now, please, if you are struggling with cancer, if you know somebody, this is not to say, hey, it's your fault because you suppress anger. No, we do this unconsciously. Nobody's creating disease consciously. I just try to be this voice of awareness that if you struggle in any condition in your body and know somebody's struggling, know that there's a big emotional component there. We are creating something in our bodies unconsciously. And once it becomes conscious, then you can work with, right? So think about when you live your truth, when you live a life with love, you do things that feed your soul. Like you increase your life force, your energy, which is passion. Passion is basically energy. And your work doesn't feel like a struggle, doesn't feel like a lot of effort. You just love it. I'm not saying that, you're going to love doing taxes. I'm not saying that you're going to love doing the marketing part. I don't love those parts. That's why, like, it's my dream to reach a place in my business that I will hire somebody to do all the marketing for me. I love doing videos, but then I want to just give to somebody and say, okay, now you market, go do Facebook ads and stuff like that, right? So after all this, many of you are saying, okay, Alex, great, but how do I even start? Because this is huge, this is big, right? You might have like 30, 40, 50, even 60 years, or maybe not speaking your truth, living your truth. How do you even start? So I'm not going to leave you hanging. A place to start is by taking the time, making a decision. One of the most important words for growth, for transformation is decision. You need to make a decision at this second while you're watching this video, a decision to identify your truth. What is it? What is it? Grab a journal and start writing. What is your truth? What do you love? Think of love. What do you love? What type of person you want to become? That person that you're going to look at the mirror and say, I like you. You are awesome. You are super cool. Who is that person? You need to become that person. That's truth number one. Then number two, what do you want to be doing? What do you love doing? And you want to do all the time. Find that out. You have no idea? Start paying attention to the moments that you do something that increase your energy. You might be reading a book about spirituality and you're like, oh my God, I love this. Or you might be cooking a new recipe and you realize, I love gourmet cooking. Or, you might be meditating and you find that you love meditation. You can turn, these days, you can turn any of those passions into a calling. And you become passionate about that and you start studying. Like, one of the reasons I know so much is because I'm so passionate about the connection between stress and disease, why stress, kills some people and other people thrive in stress. And I started reading everything I could about stress. And, I still have piles of books on my desk that I keep rereading, and that's what makes me an expert. It's just like I read the same topic over and over and over. And I read about spirituality. I read about quantum physics, to learn more and more how we can co-create, how we can ignite this power inside us. So back to how you start this journey. Who do you want to be? Know who you want to become. The things that you want to do. What do you love doing? Okay? Then make the time every day to journal, to reflect on those things, okay? And learn what kind of changes you need to start making in your life to be that person, to do those things, right? Then start letting go whatever drains your energy. A lot of people are not living the truth, or not even doing this work to identify their truth because they're exhausted, they're depleted, they're in pure deep state of survival. So you need to also start eliminating the things that drain your energy. If you're spending time with somebody, with a friend that keeps draining your energy, let that friend go. If you're in a relationship that is only draining your energy, get a counselor, get a therapist to help in this relationship. You got to find resolution for these things that you can't just quit overnight, right? So get help. Start having the conversation. If you're super depleted, you start by taking care of your health. Get sleep, get water, get you breathing properly, get the food, get some physical energy first to elevate your life force so you can have the energy to start taking care of this spiritual crisis, because this takes energy. If you're in a state of survival, you're not going to want to do a lot of growth, a lot of spiritual development, right? Which leaves me with the last one here, what you do in this journey, which is invest time in personal growth, in spiritual development. Start listening to the podcasts, start reading books, work with a coach. I make myself way more accessible to everybody now. I used to request a minimum 6 months commitment to work with me now. I mean, before. Now, you want to have one session? We can have a session. We can have a session. Is your first session is always 3 hours long, so I can learn about how your mental, how your mind works, how you process information, how you associate, what your fears are. Learn a little bit about your childhood. So your first appointment with me is always 3 hours, and I recommend that people do that first appointment, then at least 3 appointments after that. But even if you come to me and say, Alex, I can only afford one session with you, I guarantee you will have a lot of results just from one session, because I'm going to teach you how to shift not just your mind, because it's not enough to change the mind. You need to shift your physiology. You need to start teaching your physiology not to be in fear, because fear is the biggest block of people. Once you make a decision to change, the only thing that can stop you is fear. So a big thing that I'm working with a lot of clients now, it's eliminating the fear, because that's the block. So in one session I can teach you how you can shift and change your physiology and go from fear to love, from survival to thriving. Yes, in one session. Now it's going to require a lot of training. If you hire a personal trainer to just work with you one session, you're going to have to do a lot of the work by yourself. It's going to take longer. I'm not going to lie to you. If you just get a program for a personal trainer once and you're going to do it, it's going to take longer. Versus if you see that personal trainer every week for a period of time, it's going to program your body to do the right things every week. You get conditioned much faster, and then you can go on your own. So it's the same thing here. I'm just sharing this because I know a lot of people are struggling with money right now. So I made myself accessible with individual sessions as well. You gotta shift your mindset, and then you need to train your body. You need to change your physiology so you can start removing this fear, your childhood blocks, and live your truth. And if you have any trauma, any big trauma from childhood, of course, you need to be seeing a psychologist. You're gonna be seeing a counselor, a therapist that specialize in trauma, help you to remove this block. And then you can work with somebody like myself, who is a great life strategist, okay, that will continue the work that maybe you did with a therapist, and we're going to continue the work here. So that's what I want to share with you today, that there's a big spiritual crisis, and we can overcome. And it takes work. It takes work, just like it takes work to create a fit and healthy body, just like it takes work to build a company and become extremely rich, just like it takes work to start and build a family. It takes work. Whatever is important to you, the work is not going to feel that hard. And you always have people around you. Don't do anything alone. I'm not where I am by doing alone. In fact, I have incredible support right now that helps me when I hit some roadblocks. Therapists, friends, and the divine that I always get answer from. So if this was helpful, if served you, please share this video with others. And send me questions. I would love to make videos for you, answer your questions. And if there's enough requests, I will do Facebook Lives. And if you want to book a session with me, but you're not sure it's the right thing for you, just let's book a 15-minute free call just to see where you're at or what you're trying to transform, to change, to see if I'm the right guide for you. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day.